Just heard when we were talking to the Hillary Clinton and Chelsea Clinton about just how much of an effect, and continues to be an effect, COVID-19 is. But is it an opportunity also to rethink our approach to gender equality and inequality? Is it like never waste a good crisis, Justin?
I think so. I mean, first of all, we're all friends on this call who've stepped up, as Sadiq has said, in various ways on advancing gender equality. But we'll all recognize, for all the things we've done, there's a lot more to do to have that really tangible impact. I mean, we got elected 5 years ago with a gender balanced cabinet. I've just moved forward with the first Canadian finance minister who's a woman, Chrystia Freeland, who's known to many people, I'm sure, in the audience. But at the same time, everything we do has to be focused on the experiences that people are living. And we know that whether it's on pay equity or childcare or the fact of this COVID challenge that has hit women in the service industry, in low-income jobs, harder than a usual recession does, that really layers on the intersectionalities, people who are already marginalized are facing greater barriers. It becomes not just an opportunity, as you say, Mark, to look at things different, but a responsibility to realize that this crisis is showcasing gaps that exist in our society that we do need to fill, that we can't just paper over and shrug off. One of the great examples in Canada is we've been talking about bringing in universal national childcare for a long time now. It's sort of a patchwork across the country, different jurisdictions that do it. But one of the things that's happened over this pandemic is the business community has suddenly realized the impact on their business, on everything going on when people have to stay home and care for kids, when women simply can't rejoin the workforce because, as Erna pointed out earlier, they carry a heavier burden in terms of childcare, in terms of responsibilities around the home. So moving forward on childcare is something we're finally feeling like we're going to be able to do, because it's not just a moral argument, it's a concrete economic argument, as we've always known, but it's being more resonant now. So there's lots of tangible things we can and need to do as leaders right now in our countries and around the world. We started the G7 Gender Advisory Council a few years ago in Charlevoix, and that's continuing. There's a lot of things that we need to do both at home and around the world to make sure that we're moving forward in really tangible ways on gender equality and opportunities for all.
And I see, Justin, maybe you want to come in here. I mean, it's up to leaders to take a real strong role in effecting change, both locally and globally. But how do they do it and not, as Sadiq pointed out and Erna pointed out, create new challenges?
Well, no, Erna and Sadiq made exactly the right point, that the ways we usually get out of recessions and stimulate recessions are not going to apply in this particular challenge. We need to understand that we need a new set of tools going at it. We put forward a few years ago a $5 billion women's entrepreneurship strategy that we're investing in even more now, because what we found out even through the first years of that, and it's even more relevant in COVID, when a woman starts up a business, it is much more likely to have social good and positive social impacts on the community in responding to problems, other than a typically male-dominated business. And of course, there's always exceptions to this, but a male business is often looking for an opportunity or a niche or making profits, whereas women businesses are usually about solving problems. And that's where investing, not just in women businesses, we launched a Black entrepreneur strategy because our Black Canadians were having trouble accessing capital. There are all sorts of targeted measures that we have to bring in where the usual approach is simply not going to matter. And I think the first piece of it is recognizing that it's a she-cession that we're in. This is different than other recessions. And we're turning back the clock by years and even decades if we're not careful. So lots of things to do and lots of notes to share and compare between all of us leaders.
How do we ensure that the gains we've made thus far in gender equality are not wiped out or reversed or slowed down, the momentum slowed down by COVID-19? Justin, you go first.
Well, we just have to be really, really deliberate about it. It has to be at the center of our thinking. And the way to do that is to make sure that we're hearing all voices. And the challenge in politics I can talk about, but it's the same in business. I mean, the question is, oh, we'd want to hire a woman chairman of the board, but there's nobody qualified. We couldn't find anyone. It was 6 men put up their hands. Well, men tend to put up their hands. We know in politics, and this was referred to earlier, if you ask a woman if she wants to run for politics, her first question will be, why me? And it takes like 14 times of asking them on average before they will step up and run in some cases. If you ask a man if he wants to run for you in politics, his first question is, what took you so long? And you know, there's this needs to be a deliberate, not just a choice by leaders and by people in positions of authority and power, but a setting up of structures that enforce a more aggressive search for women. That's why when people say, you know, the system is broken because there's systemic discrimination, the system isn't broken. The system was designed to advantage certain communities, certain groups, certain, you know, older white males in general, and we need to change that system because it's working the way it was built. It was just built the wrong way. And that's what, in this pandemic, and as we move forward from it, we have to be very, very thoughtful about making a system that is much more in line with our values of being more equal, more respectful, and trying to create real opportunities for everyone to achieve their potential.
You say everyone. Thank you very much, Justin. Sadiq, you're in one of the most diverse cities, places in the world, London.